Hello, everyone, and welcome to How to Plan a Website that engages your audience and attracts the best clients to you. I'm Holly Chantal, the founder of The Land of Brand, and I'll be your host today and your fearless leader as we embark on a journey to creating a brand that really is an experience for your audience. So I would like to just welcome and thank everyone for coming. We have a few hundred people registered today, which is very exciting, from all over the world, which I consider to be always very humbling, especially with all the different time zones. And I know how busy you all are, so I really appreciate it. And today is going to be a little different than our typical webinar. I have some really great content planned for you to help you really create a solid plan for your website. And we're not going to be selling anything at the end. Oftentimes I'll do a preview webinar for a program that we have upcoming, but today is really just about sharing strategies. And I do have a free gift for you at the very end that will help you start implementing some of these strategies. And really all I want you to do is just sit back, listen to the steps as we go, and to really envision your business as we go along and how you might implement these ideas and what that would look like if you were to do that. Because it's a very, very exciting concept today. Today we're really talking about not just building a brand that is going to attract clients to you, which is obviously a need. As a coach or an online business owner, we're always looking for new clients. But we're going to do it in a different way. We're going to create an experience for your clients, a way for your prospects and your audience to really experience your message. So let's go ahead and get started, and we will talk a little bit more about that. So let me switch over to the presentation. And I'm just going to make this full screen ahead. And that didn't work. All right, let's try this again. And of course, it's not going to let me. Hold on, technical difficulties. Come on. Come on. There we go. Sorry, I'm just trying to coax out the little button that lets me share my other screen. Sometimes you have to be a little persuasive. So let's try that again. Let's try to make that full screen. Boom, there we go. All right, so having a nice website isn't enough anymore. If you are running an online business these days, you need to do more than just have a website that acts as a glorified brochure that tells people what you do. What you really need to have is an experience. And that's what having a website gives you the opportunity to do, is to create an experience for your visitors. So what does that mean? Well, this is a new idea that I've been playing with, and you've heard me talk a lot about putting your personality into your brand and your marketing. And this is really one of the major precepts of the Land of Brand, and it is definitely still a key message. But we're going to be shifting into something much bigger than that. And this is something that we've done for ourselves and for our clients pretty much without thinking about it. And now what I'm realizing is we've done it enough, and I'm finding the components to really make it teachable, which is very, very exciting, because now we have like a replicatable system where you can learn how to do this. And that is what today is about. We're kind of introducing this new idea and playing with it. So I want you to play with me today. I want you to vision. I want you to open your mind to a new way of looking at your brand. And to help us get started with this, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and vision something with me. Will you do that? I know some of you are still logging in and getting into the technology, but just take a moment, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and what I want you to think about is if you were walking outside. So you walk out your door and a cool, blustery breeze brushes across your face. It's crisp, it's cold, and the colors of the leaves are vibrant around you. And as this breeze blows, a few of those leaves flutter to the ground and they crunch under your feet as you walk. And you start thinking of going back inside because it's cold and you want to curl up with a cozy blanket in your hands with your hands wrapped around a warm mug of cider. So as you're visioning this and as you're getting into that space, what are you feeling? What do you taste? What do you smell? What do you hear? Some of you will feel comfort. Some of you will have memories of fall. And some of you will suddenly get thirsty for some cider. And most of you will recognize at the very least that what I'm describing is fall, at least here in New England. Some of you may not have this experience because you live in places where you don't have these different seasons, but chances are you've seen it, experienced it on vacation. And what you might not realize is that I'm not just talking about fall. What I'm talking about is probably the most perfect brand in the world. And we're going to talk about why in a little bit, but first, when we think of the most successful brands out there, obviously fall is not what comes to mind. What usually comes to mind are big shots like Apple, Google, Nike. And these are some of the most memorable brands. They're incredibly successful. They have a particular magic and intrigue about them. How do they do what they do? How do they create this recognition on a massive scale? How do they create this massive change in the world? And how do they get people to buy their products over and over and over again? And as a coach, it would be very difficult for you to replicate a brand on this scale because you're not a giant company with millions of dollars to spend on market share and brand recognition. And let's be honest, your brand will probably never be recognized globally in the same way that these two behemoths are. However, I do believe that as a coach, you can build a brand even greater than Apple, even greater than Google, just on a smaller scale. And in order to do that, we first have to understand what is a brand. So before you can hope to replicate the success of these brands, we must first understand what we're working with. Is a brand your logo? Is it a tagline? Is it a website? It's going to have all of these things. And when we look at these giant brands, they do have all of these things, and they do them so well that we might think that that is their brand. But brands go way, way deeper than that. A true brand actually interacts with your prospects and communicates your value. It works on your behalf when you can't physically speak to your prospects. And to be honest, you can't physically speak to all of the prospects that you'll have in your business. So you need your brand to be your ambassador and attract the right people to you and put them through a filter so that you get the creme de la creme of clients. So that you're working with people that inspire you, that excite you, and that are your ideal people to be working with. So you might be wondering, what makes fall the perfect brand? Obviously, fall is a season, and it's not what you would typically think of when you're considering a brand. But if you think about it, it does have all the hallmarks of a brand like Apple or Google, except they can't even hold a candle to fall. So fall has brand colors. It has orange, yellow, red, brown. People talk about it and have certain perceptions or ideas about it, good or bad. People look forward to fall and anticipate its release every year. Certain products are associated with it, like pumpkins, pumpkin spice, cider, scarecrows, warm clothes. The list goes on and on. It even has sub-brands or offerings like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Black Friday. And ultimately, it gets people to take action and buy things or attend events associated with its season/brand. The fall brand is so ingrained in our psyche that it doesn't even need to be fall in order for us to experience or be reminded of it. It could be July, and you're at a store that sells candles, and a particular smell will trigger the nostalgia of being in your grandmother's kitchen while she's cooking a pumpkin pie. This is the kind of brand you want to create. Imagine your brand as an immersive experience. Instead of just attracting new clients, your clients would become true followers. They would look forward to the next program you release. In fact, they would be pushing you to create new programs because they want to work with you again. They would be bringing other clients to you so that because they just have to experience what you have to offer. Have you ever done something or worked with a particular company and then you talk to your friends about it and you're like, you have to work with these people. I will never go back. Think about Apple. If you talk to anyone, I'm gonna say anyone, but we'll say 99% of people that use Apple products say that they would never go back to a PC. That is the kind of brand you want. How amazing would that be for you? Instead of just teaching, coaching, and training, you'd be able to incorporate your passions into your business to create that immersive experience. And you'd have a community instead of just a list of anonymous people. This is what I believe a true brand is. This is what we're creating in the land of brand. And we've also helped our clients create these kinds of experiential brands. I just never put a name to it before. So that's why this is really exciting. And your brand is delivered in 3 ways. Lucky for your clients, not delivered in the old-fashioned way of branding them with a hot iron. I'm pretty sure that they would object to that. But your brand is delivered through your marketing, your website, and your offerings. So the marketing is with your prospects. So those are how people are first becoming aware of you. And you want that to be an interactive experience. You want that to be a way for them to immerse themselves in your brand so that they're intrigued and they want to find out more. And then they go to your website, and your website creates an experience and engages them further, starts the conversation. And then they move into your offerings. They become clients. And the offerings themselves are almost the most important because it is so much easier for you to keep a client and work with them over and over again than to constantly have to be finding new clients. And when you have these clients, they're going to be bringing clients to you. So you're no longer having to chase people. How cool would that be? And all 3 of these are built on the same brand foundation. So these are the 4 pieces that make up your brand foundation. And I believe that you need to make these decisions before you look for a website designer, because when we start a business, usually the first thing we do is go find a website designer because you need a website to run a business. But that would be a mistake. You want to have this strategy in place first because it will make your website that much more effective and it'll make it go so much smoother and quicker because you have all your ducks in a row. So the 4 pieces of your brand that make up the foundation strategy that goes through everything you do is your personality, your market position, your message, and your offerings. So for about the next 15-20 minutes, we're going to talk about each of these in detail. So first, your perception and personality. So personality makes up a couple different things. Obviously, your personality is who you are, and as a coach, that is important in your brand because you are who people are hiring. And you need to decide how you want to be perceived. So how do you want people to relate to you? How do you want them to describe you when you're not in the room? So when I am referring people to you, what do you want people to be saying about you? And how do you want them to feel? So how do you want them to feel when they're working with you? How do you want them to feel when they're on your website? This is really important because this drives all of your design decisions. So the personality and the feeling, so the personality you want to convey and the feeling that you want to create drives the style of the site, what colors you use, the layout, the graphics, and what style those are. The voice of the website, so the language you're using, the wording you're using, the stories that you share from your personal life, the features you use, like if you're going to do video, or what kind of opt-in you're going to use, what kind of blog you're going to have, if you're going to use a blog. So all these different features and different marketing avenues that integrate into your website are all based around your personality. And the reason why this is so important is because we get along with some people more than others. So if you think about, if you've worked with a number of clients, then you probably know that there are some clients that you enjoy working with more. It's just a fact of life. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you are going to attract people to you that you personally jive with. And if they can feel connected to you, they're going to be more likely to hire you. And those are the people that feel connected to you. Those are the people that are going to be the ones that inspire you. You will always be working with your favorite clients. So when you create this personality with your website, you're creating a connection with people. Your audience can relate to you on a personal level. You'll feel like you're constantly working with your best friends because you're attracting those that like you for you. They're not just looking for the result, because to be honest, there are thousands of other people that probably provide very similar services, may be able to offer the same kinds of results, but the experience matters more. The experience they have of working with you is going to be what keeps them around and what is going to give them the best results. So why isn't it typical for coaches to be fully self-expressed? Why isn't it typical for us to express our personalities and to be even thinking about this? And the answer is that as a coach, and if you're not a coach, chances are you're still selling some kind of service where you're claiming yourself as an expert, is we are establishing ourselves as an expert in our field. And we feel that we need to be professional in order to be taken seriously. Many of us also come from corporate environments where personality is not welcome. You have to live and breathe the company. You have to be professional. You have to be polished. And we're afraid of being judged. We want to be liked. Putting yourself out there opens you up for judgment, opens you up for people not liking you. And to be honest, some people aren't going to like you. And that's kind of why we put this out there in our brand, because you want to turn some people off. You want to turn off the people that you're not really going to enjoy working with. And we're not saying like offending people or, putting them off, but just not really attracting them. So if you're using wording that some people don't like, so for instance, I use words like awesome and kick butt, and some people might perceive that as being a little immature, a little unpolished, but for me, it's how I talk to my friends. I have kind of my own little language. I make up words, and the people that enjoy working with me are the ones that think that's fun, and they like to make up their own words, and sometimes we have completely weird conversations, and that's fun. I like working with my best friends. When I get off the phone with a client, I am excited because we're attracting these kinds of people that really jive with us. And each person is going to attract different kinds of people. So what might be really appealing to me might be different to you. You might not want people that are going to joke around with you the whole time that you're working together. And that's okay. But you have to be intentional about who you are and how you're expressing yourself and who you want to attract. Otherwise, you might actually be being inauthentic, which might sound counterintuitive, that you, by choosing how you want to express yourself, would be more authentic than just doing. But what actually happens is when you're not intentionally choosing to be fully self-expressed and you're not thinking about these things, you might slip into that trap of putting up the barriers, being over professional, writing very academically, and you're really putting out there someone that is not you, and you're actually being inauthentic, not purposefully or manipulatively, but just out of ignorance. You don't realize that you're putting someone out there that's not really who you are. And when you can express this on your website, that's when people come to your site and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so you. This is exactly who you are. And that's when you're going to find people that really you're going to enjoy working with the most. So let me tell you a little story about Joanie. Joanie was one of our clients a couple years ago, and she is probably one of the sweetest, most heartfelt women I know. I met her at a conference, and when we started working with her, she was very quiet, and she came across as being a little bit shy. And in her words, because I asked her later kind of what she felt like when she came before she started working with us and then after. So what she said was that she had been taught to keep quiet, to be small, to not make a scene, and she was really good at it. That was what she was taught throughout her whole childhood as she was growing up. It was so ingrained in her that the very idea of saying what she really wanted to say and being who she really wanted to be was terrifying. And that's why she came to us, because she knew that we really base things on personality, and she really wanted to step out. She wanted to have that confidence. She wanted to find herself and express that in her business. So in exploring her personality through our program, she found her voice, she found more confidence and self-esteem, and she found the courage to really start putting herself out there. Her marketing became so much easier because she was not constantly having to tone herself down. She began putting herself out there in a much bigger way, sharing her passions. And she also found that she had a little bit of sass in her and that her clients loved it. She found that she could express her opinions because she actually, even though she came across as being shy and quiet, she had very strong opinions. And she was confident in what she knew. She just wasn't sure how to bring that across. And if you go to her website and read her copy, you'll notice it has a very distinct personality. And it's been very fun watching this transformation as we built this site. So my question for you is, where is your personality missing in your website? What would people think and how would they feel if your website fully expressed who you were? How could you do that? So while you're thinking about that, let's move on to the next slide. So decision number 2 is your position. You already know that you need to have a defined target market, but it's even more important for your website. And your position is who you serve, what you do, and why they should hire you over everyone else. And it's important for your website because you have to get your visitors' attention fast. They need to know right away that you serve them, and they need to know that you're an expert in solving their specific problem. They are worried about their problem, and you need to speak to that within a half a second of landing on your site. And ultimately, clients really want to know that you deeply understand them and their problems. So having a target market isn't enough. And marketing gurus will tell you, you got to narrow your target market, narrow your target market. And that is true. You do need to have a narrow target market. But when you're creating this experience on your website and when you're creating your programs and writing your copy, you actually don't want to focus on just a target market. You want to go one step further than that and focus on one specific person. And I know you're probably thinking, Holly, are you crazy? You want me to focus on one person? Aren't I going to turn all these other people away? But let's talk about why focusing on one person is important. So why do only 58% of people recycle and 100% take out their trash? I call this the stink factor because trash stinks and it's going to continue to stink until you fix the problem by taking it out. Recycling does solve many problems, but they're not as close to home as having stinky trash in your room. But people perceive the problems that recycling causes in different ways. So they might perceive them as being too far from them to make a difference, or that the level of inconvenience to recycling isn't enough. And then 58% of people do see it as a priority. So the bottom line here is that if their desire to solve the problem isn't enough to overcome the inconvenience of actually doing it, then they aren't going to do it. They're not ready to take action. They're not ready to make a change. And this is the key, is that people perceive problems in different ways and they seek different solutions. So you need to know your audience very specifically. So I'm going to give you another example of why you want to focus on one person. So within your target audience, you probably have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that have the problem that you solve. So they have similar problem and they're looking for the solution for different reasons. That's the key. They all have the same problem, but they have different reasons for solving that problem. For example, if you're a sales coach that works with sales representatives in a corporation, the problem you're solving is that they want more sales, or that's the result you're giving them. They're going to help them get more sales. Some are going to want to increase their sales to get a promotion. Some are going to want to increase their sales so they don't lose their job. And others are going to want to increase their sales so that they can take their family on a vacation. These are three very different reasons to solve the same problem for essentially the same audience. If you're not speaking to their specific reason, they may not recognize the problem as being, they might not recognize your solution as being worth the trouble. They're also not going to see that you really deeply understand them, because when you can specifically talk to your ideal client and describe their situation in detail and how you solve that situation, they're going to think you're reading their mind, and they're going to feel understood, and they are going to have this experience that they feel deeply understood, that they've found their solution, and this is what is going to capture their attention more than you ever would otherwise. And then it becomes so much easier for you to position your services as the ideal solution. And it makes it so much easier to write your sales pages. When I work with clients on creating a sales page, this is the first step we do. We find the profile, the target market profile, the one person that they want to sell that program to. We have them interview them. I have very specific questions they ask. And then we listen to that interview and we literally use it to write the sales page. And by doing that, we're using their language. We're hitting all the points that we need to hit to position the program as the solution. And they end up selling more. Because while you might think that targeting one specific audience is going to turn other people away or not attract the right people, it's not true. Because you're going to attract so many more people and capture more attention because you're not as general and people are not just going to gloss over you. So let me tell you Ginas story. Let me take a sip of water here. My voice is getting tired. We still have a lot to cover. All right, so Gina is a hypnotherapist. And for those of you that are kind of work in the woo-woo fields, you know that explaining what you do in a tangible way is a challenge. So with Gina, it was imperative that we make it very clear what she did, who she did it for, and what her key message was. Then when it came to writing her website content, once we had these couple of pieces in place, it was so much easier to write compelling copy, and her visitors not only understood what it is she did, but they were compelled to buy. Within 2 months of launching Gina's site, she had a client flying in to work with her. And let me just qualify this for a second. 2 months may sound like a long time. Gina did not have a business before this. She did not have a website before this. This was literally from launch. She had clients flying in to work with her because her business was based locally and she wasn't even planning to have a national audience. She could do these things over the phone, but she really liked working with people in person. So her clients would actually fly to her. They didn't even ask her prices. They would just ask when they could get started, and the conversation would go from there. So how amazing would that be for you if your website could convey your value so well that people just called you to sign up. And having a solid position and a message that you stand for is the key to that, to being able to position your services as the obvious choice for your target audience. So the third decision you have to make is understanding what is that message that you stand for. What is your uniqueness? In the land of brand, we call that your brand promise. And basically what this is it's the message and the passion that you want to share with the world. So it is the reason why you got in business. It is the reason why your method works. It is the platform you stand on, and it is why you do what you do. And ultimately, it is what makes you remarkable. And it's the common thread that holds your brand together. Not quite like this, we're not talking like a jumbled ball of yarn, but more like this, like DNA. It is the DNA that goes throughout your brand. It is the backbone of everything you do. And the tough part is it's not quite so easy to nail down because there are many options. There's many things that make you unique. There's many things that you stand for, and you might not quite understand how to kind of narrow it down or know when you're making the right choice. So what we do is we examine it from 4 different angles. So we look at you and what makes you uniquely equipped, and we look at that uniqueness in 4 different ways. This way we're covering all of our bases, and then from there we boil it down into a simple statement. So the first area is your personality. You'll notice personality keeps coming back over and over again. That's why it's so important to your brand. So your personality, how does your personality affect the experience of your clients? What experience does it create for them? Why is that unique? Why is that important to their success? Your approach, do you have a unique methodology? Do you look at the problem they're solving in a way that other people don't? Why do you do things the way you do? This is your unique approach. So what is that? Your specific abilities, your training, your talents, your skills, your experience. How is that going to help your client? Why should they hire you because of that? And then your message. So your message is, if you could convey one idea to your clients that would put them on the path to reaching whatever it is their goal is, it's the one thing that you wish that everyone would just get and do. What is that? And what you'll find is as you're writing these things down, there's usually common words between them, common threads. And so what we do is we help you examine all 4 of these areas and boil them down into statements. And then we boil those group of statements down into one simple statement that becomes your brand promise. And sometimes it can become one word. So it might not always be a whole sentence. For example, the land of brand, our word has always been personality. So our statement is you will have a brand that represents and expresses your personality. But personality is the key. So we could really just boil it down to that one word. So you'll find the message, that message is woven throughout everything we do. Our marketing represents our personality, expresses our personality, teaches you how to use your personality. We help our clients uncover their personality. We build websites that represent their personality. We teach you how to use your personality to stand out, and the list goes on and on. Anything we teach has to have that unique spin around it. So I could be teaching any topic that you've probably heard before. And you'll notice that it has a spin about being personal to you, an expression of who you are, authentic to you. And that's how we teach a lot of different things while keeping it still under one message and one brand and not becoming confusing. So once you have this statement, then you decide on your offerings. And these are the offerings that we want on your site now and that you're going to plan on creating. Just going to do a quick status check and make sure there's no tech glitches. Okay. Sorry, I get nervous about halfway through a conference that, everyone dropped off or something, and I always have to check. It looks like everyone's still here and you can still hear me. So back to offerings. So you want to look at the offerings you have and the ones you're planning on creating and measure them against your brand promise. And make sure that each of them is representing that message. And you want to make sure that they all align with the message and that they're all important for your client's journey. So to give you an example, we're going to look at the land of brand again. This is our map. And some of you may have seen this map. It's on our homepage, but you probably haven't looked that closely at it. But what this is a map of the journey that a client goes on to creating their brand. And initially, this was a game board for the branding game, and it's really turned into basically our whole philosophy, really, our whole suite of products. So it starts with personality, and it goes into creating the position, and then it goes into creating the website, which is the bridge between your marketing and your strategy, and then the marketing. So those are really the big three areas, or the big four areas, sorry, that go into creating your brand. And we have three core offerings that we take clients through that represent these different phases. So the first one is the branding game, which is strategic planning of your brand to identify your personality, your position, your promise, and your offering. So everything we've talked about so far. And then we have the website design, where you take that plan and create the physical expression of it, which is the website. And then we have marketing. So that's for people that have a website and now they're ready to start marketing it in a way that's authentic to them. So you'll notice that these are our three core offerings, and obviously we have other things and we're going to be adding to this, but these are, what's important to see here is that they represent different stages where our clients are in their brand creation process. And even though they're all for the same target market, they are all aligned with our message. You'll find personality is woven throughout all of these. They're also offered at different levels of engagement, which allows us to leverage our time. But here's the difference between this and a typical sales funnel that you'll see. They're not in alignment from low price to high price. They bounce around. They do not have to be done in order. So someone could jump in smack dab in the middle and continue on. But the important thing is, with every single offering, there's always a next step. If you start with the strategy, the next step is the website. If you start with the website, the next step is the marketing. So there is always a next step for someone to take, and that allows people to work with us over and over again. And because they're enjoying the experience and the results that they're getting, we have our clients that go through all of our different programs. And when you have clients going through your programs over and over again and really building that personal connection with you, it's so much more rewarding. It's so rewarding to see people go on their journey and to see the results they're getting and to, build a personal relationship with them. And it's also rewarding when they refer their friends to you, because you know they're going to be fantastic clients because they came from your best clients, and they're helping you grow your business. So they become these brand ambassadors, really. So, oh, I have missed a slide. So I already talked about this, sorry. I should have switched the slide. All right, so let's talk about Jeanette's story. So Jeanette is she's more of an experienced coach. So the other two examples were people that were really just starting. Jeanette has been coaching for more than 12 years, and she's written, I think, around 10 books. So she's written a lot of books, and these are like very successful books, not just ebooks or things that she's put on Amazon, but these are real physical books so you can go to the bookstore and buy. So she is at the top of her field in the clean food world, and she partners with health and fitness giants, and she works oftentimes behind the scenes or in collaboration with their programs. So you'll find that many of the books she's a part of, she's the co-author, and she's kind of working behind the scenes under their brand. So when she came to us, it was time for her to really step out into her own and to create her own brand that would bring all of her content and all of her offerings under one cohesive brand that was her. She could start putting herself out there. And the magic moment for Jeanette was when we uncovered and focused her message. And once she had her brand promise, she's able to take all the content she already had, as well as the new programs she was creating, and take them to the next level under her brand. We actually have done 2 websites for her personal website, and then what you see here is her membership site. She was able to communicate what she had to offer in such a clear way that now all of those big partners that she was working with are doing work under her platform. Now they're behind the scenes. They're sending her clients. They're putting her brand in association, they're putting their brand in association with hers, which is huge. What would that look like for you? What if you were able to create a brand that attracted giant partners to you that wanted to promote you and wanted to associate with your message? It's such an exciting thing for Jeanette, and it was a lot of fun to create. So by this point, hopefully you're seeing the potential that your website has to really take your business to the next level. You know you need a website to even run your business, and if you don't have a website that is positioning at the top of your field and bringing you clients, then it's time to make it a priority. Even if you're getting by or you're doing well without one, like Jeanette was. Jeanette had a very rudimentary website she wasn't really using, and she was able to build to her level of success. Just imagine what it would be like to have a website that does all of the heavy lifting for you, allows you to create this platform where your brand becomes an experience for your clients. And it's tempting to just jump right in, and that would be a mistake, because without the proper planning, your website can turn into a money pit. It can take a really long time to create. It can stall your entire business. And unless you have the decisions made first. And when you make these decisions and you plan out your strategy and you know already what you're going to do and what you want to convey, how you want people to feel and what you're selling, it will shorten your project timeline. Your website will go up very quickly. It will be exactly what you want. It will represent exactly who you are, and it's going to be much more effective for you. So I wouldn't jump into a website design unless you are working with either us or a company like us, because we build all this strategizing into our program. So all this planning and coaching that you need in order to build this strategy is built into our website design program. So not only does this mean that you can get your website up sooner, it means that you will have confidence as you move forward that you aren't going to have to redo your site anytime soon or keep pouring money into changes. So if you are at that place where you feel like you have to get all your ducks in a row before you hire a website designer, you feel like you need to make all these decisions and you're kind of going back and forth, just so you know, that back and forth and that thought process can take months, if not years. I've had people come to us after they've been toying with an idea for years. And sometimes, if you're already in business and things are maintaining as they are, it might be hard for you to find the time or to be willing to take that leap to the next level and make those changes in your brand. So that's why we have all of this built into our website design program, so that we can help you, whether you're just starting out and you need to create your first plan, or you're already established and you need help kind of shifting into gear for that next rendition of your business. That's what this program is for. So along with understanding that strategy and planning that strategy, you also need to plan your structure. So when people think of a website, they're often thinking of it as one entity. It's one thing. And that's actually not true. Your website is a collection of pages. Each page needs to serve your brand and serve your purpose as a whole, but each page also needs to stand alone. And the number one goal of your website is actually not to sell your programs. This is a common misconception. Your website doesn't sell your programs. Your website starts a conversation. Your marketing and your sales cycle sells your programs. So you have to have a strategy for selling programs, and that's something that we talk about. And it's actually a whole other lesson we could do. That's not the point of today, though. So your website is all about starting a conversation. And in order to do that, you need to intentionally plan your content. So you actually need to sit down with each page that you're planning on creating and ask yourself, who is coming to this page? That is, who is the target audience or the target profile? As well as where are they in your sales cycle? So some pages are going to be geared towards someone that's never seen you before. Your homepage is that page. Someone that has just found you on Google, just been referred to you by someone else, and they're seeing you for the first time. That is your homepage. Other pages, like a sales page, might be for someone that's already a little bit familiar with you. You might have pages for people that have already been through your program, so you can use different language. You might use jargon because they already understand it because it's geared for someone that has been working with you already. So you need to understand who it is that's coming to you, how familiar are they with your brand, so that you can know when you have that leeway to use jargon or terms that are specific to you. What do you want them to do? So what is the action you want them to take on that page? And how are you going to get them to do it? And how you get them to do it is through really good copy, through sharing stories, through sharing testimonials, through gearing everything on that page toward that call to action. For example, you'll notice that our sales pages on the landed brand do not have a sidebar with an opt-in in it. That is because we don't want to distract from reading the content and getting to the bottom where we have our calls to action. Everything on the page is geared towards a call to action. You want to eliminate clutter and focus on what is the purpose of that page. So for your home page, 9 times out of 10, especially if you're a coach, the purpose is to get someone to opt in and start the conversation with you, to give you their email address, usually in exchange for something for free, so they can kind of start on their journey and start experiencing your brand. And that's why I'm going to show you how we lay out typical home pages. This will help explain this point. So our home pages have a few things in common. One, they have a prominent, oh, I'm doing this on the wrong screen. They have a prominent opt-in area. So if you were to land on this site, above the fold ends, I think right around these boxes. So when you land on the site, the opt-in offer is eye level, and it positions the problem and who it's for. So this one is for product launches for real people. So it's basically showing how to do a product launch for people that are, not the big gurus that can pull off the $1 million launches. You might not be at that point yet, though it doesn't mean you can't be there. But it's for us normal folk that are still working towards there. Immediately know who it's for. Marketing for big thinkers, visionaries, and rebels. Has oodles of personality. And then we put the bottom boxes below the fold, so at a glance you know what they have to offer. And you'll notice that most of our homepages have a basic structure like this with some more, depending on the person, they might have other features as well. But this is usually our starting point. And so we do have a lot of different layouts to choose from, but this is what I would recommend. If you're thinking about doing a new website, then you want to make sure that your homepage has a prominent opt-in. And at a glance, I can see what you do, but I'm not getting all of these options at once. I don't have my whole page covered with things that are flashing and sliders and buy me buttons. The homepage needs to be streamlined and geared toward the opt-in offer. So hopefully that helps you kind of plan the strategy and the structure for your site. So in summary, let me just recap some of the stuff we've talked about. So your brand is not just something for prospects to look at. It's not just a logo. It's not just a tagline to read. It's not just a website. They should also be able to taste, hear, smell, and feel it deeply. Having a strategy plan before you create your website will save you time and money. You need to understand how you're going to express your personality, who you serve, and the specific problem you're solving, and how to position yourself. Why they should hire you over everyone else, what makes you unique, what is your message? And then your offerings, what your offerings are, and how they align with your message. And then it's a matter of planning each page carefully with one goal while still keeping the overall site's goal in mind. So each page has its own goal, and then the website overall has to serve your brand. So at this point, we've covered a lot of ground, and your mind is probably reeling with ideas while you're also trying to process the information that I've given you, because we covered a lot and there will be a replay, so don't feel like you have to absorb it all right now. Stick with that inspiration, that is feeling of, what's possible. However, what I have found is that there is a fine line between inspiration and overwhelm. Because while you may feel inspired with ideas, knowing where to start and how to implement them can be a challenge. So you start feeling almost intimidated, and you just kind of push it off to the side. You put it on the back burner for later because you just don't have time to deal with it right now. And that is totally understandable. So that's why I have a gift for you that's going to help you with this. So I promised at the beginning that I would be giving you something sweet, and this is it. So I have a free assessment that you can take that is going to help you examine these different areas of your business. So you can look at these different areas of your brand and understand where you're really strong and where you may want to focus fixing first. So you take the assessment and it'll email you your results and tell you, you'll be able to see by your scores where you should be focusing first. So who is this assessment for? If you provide real value, you are an expert and you want to connect with clients. So you want to do more than just deliver programs. You want to do more than just coaching. You really want to make a connection and create an experience, then this assessment is for you, because that is really what it's assessing. You want to create a community of raving fans, not just an anonymous list. You're ready to share your message on a massive scale. You're ready to take your business to that next level and to become known for what you do. And you're committed to taking action to reach your dreams. This is for people that do stuff, people that are ready to figure out what the next steps are and move forward. Especially, we're coming to the end of the year. It's that time where we're kind of closing a year and setting goals for next year. This is the perfect time to be taking this assessment, because you will know what you need to be focusing on come January 2015. So if this sounds like you, I'm also offering a limited number of strategy sessions. So over the next week, I have some extra times open. And on these strategy sessions, we're going to look at your biggest challenge right now and where you want to be in 2015 and create a plan for getting you there. And if you decide that you want help, so if you decide that you want help overcoming those challenges and reaching your goals in 2015, and we feel like we're a good fit, then you may be invited to work with us on creating your brand. And currently we have 2 spots available to start before the end of the year, and then we're booking new projects for 2015. If we were to work together, you'll receive the same attention and material that we use with our 6-figure clients. We'll hold your hand through crafting your brand foundation and feel confident making the decisions that we've talked about today. So all of those decisions that we talked about making, we'll help you with those. We'll coach you through it so you can feel confident as you move forward. You'll also get a website that expresses who you are, engages your audience, and is built with solid internet marketing strategy in mind. We are coaches too, and we know exactly what you need. So we cater to coaches. We know what you need on your site. And you'll also get help while writing your content to make sure that it expresses your voice and conveys your value. So those are the things that are in our program. And if this sounds like what you're looking for in your business, then I encourage you to go to the brandpowerassessment.com. What I'm going to do is, so that you guys don't accidentally leave the page by typing in that address, I'm just going to open a new window on your browser, and it will take you, there we go. So you should have a new window opening, or new tab in your browser that takes you to the assessment if you want to take it. I just wanted to make that easier for you. And so in order to qualify for a free strategy session, you have to take the assessment first. and it will tell you if you qualify. So when you get your results, if you qualify, or get a link to schedule your strategy session. And either way, you're going to get your results with instructions for reading, interpreting your scores, and knowing where you should be focusing first. And this is just a really neat tool for you to be able to recognize where your brand is really strong and where you need some extra help. So the assessment is totally free. The strategy session, if you qualify, is totally free. Absolutely no high pressure. That is totally not my style. And at the very least, I hope that you have enjoyed the information that I've shared today, and you're creating this amazing vision for what you're going to do in the next year to create not just a brand, not just a business that's going to, bring clients in, sell programs, which, I make it sound so humdrum, but that's a really big priority in your business. But we want to take it a step further than that. We want to create an engaging experience for your clients. So if you want to do that and you want to see what your next steps are, go to the Brand Power Assessment and it'll tell you where to focus first. And if you have any questions, any follow-up questions for today, please email Holly at The Land of Brand, because we are just about out of time. So I hope that you all have a fantastic day. Thank you again for taking the time to join me, and we will talk soon. Bye, everyone.